I'm out here in Alameda. Alright. Back in 2000, from what, 2004 to 2010, I was policing the police over on Alameda here. Alright. I was also running a homeless shelter out of my apartment. I was running a homeless shelter out of my apartment over at 1402 Lochner. I was kidnapped from my apartment in 2011 by the Baltimore City Police Department. No, Baltimore County Police Department. I blew the whistle on Baltimore City Police Department and the corruption. You locked me up in Baltimore County because if you'd have took me to Baltimore City, Belfield had to turn over that evidence. You locked me up in Baltimore County to shield the corruption in Baltimore City. Y'all worked hand in hand. Now, when I went to jail, I had a trial. I fired my lawyer. I defended myself. And Baltimore County's Police Department was permitted to commit perjury on the witness stand. Scott Shellenberger did the subordination of perjury. Now, Ivan Bates, Hassan Giordano, Warren Brown, Dwight Pettit, J. Wendell Gordon, Malcolm Ruff, Marilyn Mosby, y'all all know about this. When I went to jail in 2011, it was about the money y'all was making off the prison industry and the war on drugs. Y'all permit us to sell drugs because I sold drugs from 1972 to 1991. And I didn't have no license and no permit. I had your permission. I came to Baltimore, dog. I just seen Chicago 10 years behind. Y'all was 10 years behind the game up here. And I've always stayed ahead of the game. That's how I survived in the game. I'm still breathing. Y'all charged me with terrorism in 2 different states. Locked me up for 186 days in Maryland. 186 days in Illinois and 86 days in Maryland. I never got a trial. You took my property. You took something that belonged to me. My mother died. My son died. I lost my mother and I buried my son, and y'all still ain't emptied the books on my life. I need a spread on the state audit because the state exacted money from my account. That's the racketeering and fraud in your courts. You can say what you want to say, do what you want to do, but your police and the policing in Baltimore get paid to do a whole lot of nothing. They got an empty truck over there, and you got a police officer sitting right down here in the Alameda, right outside the food joint. He ain't doing much. I'm going to have a conversation with him in a minute. I'm going to ask him some questions, and I'm going to see what he got to say. I'm a founding member of the Baltimore Block. We came into existence in 2012 when y'all was doing that juvenile, building the juvenile prisons. My son, Philip Davis, is a representative of that prison industry. All right. So I'm going to ask him about the war on drugs. I'm going to ask him if we ended the war on drugs, would it address the violence? And we're going to see what he got to say. He ain't doing nothing. You feel me? Casual conversation with Baltimore City Police Department. How you doing, officer? You got time for a conversation? Give you a second, you can cut your body camera on? I knew that. I knew you was going to do that. We got cameras all over here. It's going to be a fair exchange here, all right? I'm going to give you 3 feet. Just a simple conversation. All right? And your name is?
Officer Tilghman. How you going to be?
We recording each other. You got a body camera, I got a camera. It's a standoff. I ain't got no gun, though.
No.
All right, let me get you out of this. Oh, I'm going to leave you like that because I don't really need to see your face. My name is Dwayne Davis. Everybody call me Shorty. I'm a community activist. I'm a founding member of the Baltimore Block, and I'm also a businessman and a business owner. I've been in this community since 2004. Officer Chen was here, and there's another officer that used to be here. My question to you is, we talking about the violence and the murder and the death that's going on in the city, right? I am. That's what I'm here to have a conversation with you about, right? In your opinion as a police officer, if we address the war on drugs or ended the war on drugs, would that eliminate some of the violence? Or would you say that that's the root of the violence? It's a good amount, and it's the root.
It's part of the problem.
It's part of the problem.
It's part of the problem because right now, it's a lot of situations going on that is affecting society, individuals.
It's economics, right?
All that is part of the problem.
Right. The reason I want to have this conversation with you is because nobody wants to have this conversation. They want to talk about end the violence, but nobody wants to say address the war on drugs. In 1960s, President Nixon did the Southern Strategy, where he created this situation with the war on drugs. In 1977, they had Iran-Contra, where they did the war on drugs with Oliver North, Nicaragua, and Sandinistans. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just giving us a history lesson to bring the community up to par on the actions behind the situation that exists now. We want to talk about the roots of the problem, not just the problem. That's like having cancer and not addressing it. You feel me?
That's the kind of, I'm the one who believes for the solve problems.
Right.
Like community, affected community. That's what people are for. Community comes together along with us, and we can work together. What happens is, you can have just a small part of the community concerned, and the other one they don't care.
Right. It's the same.
It's affecting everybody.
Same thing with the police department, right? Mm-hmm. Do you know that the police department came into existence in 1784? Did you know that? No. And do you know that they were slave catchers? The what? They were slave catchers in 1784 because black people were slaves in Baltimore. If you go down to that plaque, behind that war, that statue, it says that we were slave catchers. Y'all were slave catchers. That's what you came into existence. We traded the penitentiary for the plantation, cotton for cocaine, and we the cash crop because this war on drugs is a war on the black community, and it's really like President Nixon designed it. It was a Southern strategy. It was to incarcerate blacks. It was to address political process with the politics and the rioting that was going on in the 60s. It was to control the protesters and the black population in the same breath. In 77, Iran-Contra, Oliver North showed you how that drugs came into our communities. Now, like I said, I've been in the streets since 72. I'm straight up. You can Google see what I've been about. All right. So what I'm telling you ain't no hidden history. Now, if we fast forward to 2020 and we look at the war on drugs, and you sit here and made marijuana legal, but you still locking JoJo up on the corner.
Green Spring Station.
Green Spring Station. You remember me from Green Spring Station, huh? All right, I'm gonna call it. Oh, hell yeah, my brother. All right, he's the Jamaican Jews. I'm a businessman. I've been in business since 1997. He remembered me from Green Spring Station, called Shorty's Barbecue. Shorty's Bootleg, so good it's illegal. I cook for the police department. I work for the people here. I'm a positive in the community. I was labeled a terrorist here. I put that toilet in front of the Towson Courthouse because I want to address the war on drugs. I want to address racism. But I was locked up and charged as terrorist. Only reason that I'm walking on the streets because one of your Baltimore City Police Department officers came and testified on my behalf. The ones that worked in the community when I was here. You know what I'm saying? So I was having this conversation with you, so you take this back to Commissioner Harris, because me and him need to have this conversation one-on-one. I'm a whistleblower. That's why I asked you to cut your body camera on. I'm a whistleblower. And I'm blowing the whistle on the corruption, not only in the police department, but the politics in Maryland. Because those 6 officers that was doing wrong, I blew the whistle on them in 2010. It took them 8 years before they prosecuted them. You know what I'm saying? They came in my house over there, 1402 Lochner, 3 times and put guns to my head. And I got a case filed with your Internal Affairs Division. That was never rectified. You feel me? You got somebody over there at your truck.
Oh.
All right?
Hey, my pleasure.
My pleasure.
Okay?
All right, that's what men do. They shake hands, all right? That's what men do. Hey.
I've been doing this job 24 years. I came from a different department. And I always been the same person.
I've been the same person too. You know? Poquito negro, loco en la cabeza. Same person. If we don't have these conversations, how you gonna make some change? Like I said, I've been in this for 20 years. This proves that I've been doing this for 20 years. They've been coming to my store for 20 years. You locked me up and charged me with terrorism, and I'm still standing. Freedom ain't never free. You got to fight for it. And I've been fighting for it. I don't need 1 million people to march. I need 1 million people to pay attention, and people recognize Shorty in Baltimore. So do what you do. I got to go.